Mr. Clark, how's the growth of data centers in rural areas impacted utilities needs?
Mr. Chairman, Congressman, good to see you. The impact in rural areas, much like the impact anywhere, is dramatic. If you have the size of load that some of these data campuses are being dropped into the system, to the degree you have excess capacity or some available capacity that's there, you may be able to incorporate it relatively quickly. To the degree that you are running at the edge of scarcity, which increasingly our system is, then that's going to present challenges. In a rural area, what you have is a smaller rate base to spread some of those costs across. So, of course, the issue of cost allocation becomes even more important in a rural area.
Well, and the reason I ask is because we have, a pretty rural economy in North Dakota. We have some unique weather conditions that make these things really appealable, and we're having one going in Williams County, and we're in the heart of the Bakken, and we might run out of power. I mean, just when you look at the infrastructure and the way it looks. So I was wondering if you could go into a little more detail about the administration's policies and zero emissions policies would have on regional transmission RTO wholesale markets.
Mr. Chairman and Congressman, so I guess a couple of points on that. I mean, any policy, putting aside its merits or legality or things like that, that has the effect of decreasing the amount of availability of capacity or causing the retirement of capacity faster than otherwise would is going to put more strain on that system. With regard to the RTOs, and I think taking off from where Dr. Lott was, I agree with everything that's said about there'll be some mix of energy efficiency, demand response, solar, batteries, renewables, and dispatchable capacity. Designing a market around that is extraordinarily difficult because the markets are designed around what's cheapest to run right now. And so that's been a 20-year process for trying to get those market signals corrected.
Well, and I think that is, functionally for 6 years in Congress, and particularly on this committee, we have very aspirational goals, and that's great. We should want to have the problem we run into, I think, is when aspirational goals and that policy comes at the direct hindrance of operational implementation. And I don't think we spend near enough time here talking about the actual economics of power production. I always use MISO, and this is an example, and and Republicans are guilty of this to some degree or another. One, we were way late to this game politically. We just were, and not understanding that our consumers are demanding cleaner power. If they want to put a carbon score on a soybean, we'll figure out how to do it. We grow a lot of things in North Dakota we don't produce there. But also, when renewables get above a certain percentage on the grid, they better go from like 27% to 85% in a really quick hurry. Because I need Coal Creek and Coyote to be able to be economically viable in June, because I'm really, really going to need them in February. And you even saw this with the EPA, right? And the peaker plants in Indiana and pulling them out of the rule, because all of a sudden somebody looks around and says, well, without those, we might not have heat in winter. And so that's always been my question on this. I don't have and I've tried to figure out a better and more unique way, but you're one of the smartest people I know on this. And I've said this. I said, let's just take the most aspirational version of renewable energy, and that can power the United States for 360 out of 365 days a year. What do we do the other 5? What is the policy we put in place so we have nuclear power, coal-fired power, natural gas power to make sure that the greatest country in the history of the world doesn't go dark for 5 days? And I think we don't have enough conversation about what that really, really looks like moving forward, with data centers, without data centers, but the economics of power production. Do you have any opinions on that? That's a long question. You got 45 seconds.
Yeah, 40 seconds left. So it's at the core of market design that FERC's trying to deal with, and honestly, it's increasingly challenged because of the amount of public policies and subsidies that are now in the markets themselves.
Yeah, primacy and repower matter to those.
Congressman, the markets were designed around the idea that prices would do the heavy lifting with regard to reliability and investments. And increasingly what we have now is a price signal that's broken in public policies that are overlaying that market design. So it's going to require either an entire market redesign, or you're going to continue to see the sort of things that we've seen in the last few years, which is increasing concerns about units that are still needed for reliability retiring and leaving the